Oh, here we go. Here we go. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
I'm here with Lindsay today, Lindsay Rae. Amazing afternoon we're going to have here for the next probably 30 minutes chatting with
Yay.
Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. We're so
Turn up
excited to
the
have you.
volume a little bit.
So here we go. I'm going to do a little bit of background info on you, which
Yes.
is pretty amazing. When I read through it, I can't wait to read about all this success on behalf of women, no less, on behalf of women. So Lindsay Rae is an internationally published and multi-award-winning photographer. Her work is just amazing, including first place professional boudoir for rangefinders first celebrate the body. Lindsay owns and operates Self-Love Experience out of Troy, New York. And Lindsay's work has been published in Shutterbug Magazine, Period Magazine, Voltron Magazine, Philosophy Magazine, Surreal Beauty Magazine, Elements Magazine, and Liberator, with the emphasis on Bear Magazine, with a focus on helping women to embrace their sexuality and love their bodies. Hi, Ghost.
Yes, I brought Ghost in. She needed to see what was going on, so I figured she'd come and say hi.
She's
Say
fabulous.
hi. Hi,
Oh
this is
my
my
goodness.
baby. Yeah, there you go. All right, now you're free. Well, now you guys know what I was looking down at. The little dog
Yes.
decided to sneak into the room somehow and start begging for attention.
So,
But
Lindsay, when
yes,
I read
thank
this
you.
about you, can you summarize what you do? I know what you do, but can
Yeah.
you tell people, like the nuts and bolts of boudoir photography and what it does and what it looks like?
Yeah, my a dear friend of mine, Terry Hofford, she is based in Winnipeg, Canada, and she is on this mission. Of course, the dog wants to make noise. Come here. She is on this mission to change all of us from calling it boudoir photography to begin
Okay.
calling it empowerment photography.
Ah.
And I really love the concept of it, because, of course, boudoir is great, and 99% of my clients that come in want to really strip down and do those sexy lingerie or fine art nude photos, or kind of like implied photos, like what's behind me, where nothing's really showing, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of implied. But lately, we've almost found even more power in doing like clothes shoots with suits and gowns. So where we started was boudoir photography, where it was very traditional, classic lingerie, sexy posing. And what we've kind of moved into now is empowerment photography. A self-love experience is what we call it. Our clients will come in, and it's a whole process. We have a whole full lingerie boutique on site in the studio on the first floor. So clients will come in, they'll either bring their own lingerie. We also have swimwear, some gowns in there. They'll bring their own things, or shop from us, and then we'll style them. And then they sit down with our makeup artist, Natalie, and Natalie will do their full hair and makeup. So it's really a day where you get to kind of confront yourself, where you kind of have to strip down and look at yourself in the mirror in a way that you've never really had to do before, and put your trust in someone else. And to trust another woman, especially to trust anyone else in this day and age, especially to be in such a vulnerable position, is really difficult to do. And I think that's part of what makes this experience so empowering. It's not the, oh, I took sexy pictures. It's
Right.
the, I made the decision to do something that scares me. I made the decision to trust someone new. And I made the decision to step outside of my comfort zone and confront my body in a way that I never have before. So I think that's really what makes it as empowering as it is that it's not just sexy pictures. It's an entire experience that really comes together to help our clients kind of take almost that next step into themselves and into who they want to be and who they see themselves as, without anybody else telling them what that is.
It sounds wonderful, and it sounds like every woman should do it.
I think so. I
Yeah,
have mine. Oh,
so
look, that's me right behind us. So I
that's
definitely,
awesome.
yeah, this is my dining room. I definitely walk the walk as well as talk the talk. I have my photos all over. I call them like my period or bad day photos, when you're really bloated and you're having that bad day where
You're
you
like,
just like
that's me.
where you can barely stand to look at yourself in the mirror. Because let's be honest, whether you bleed or not, we all have those days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I say. I was like, that's why you need to hang them up, so when you're having that bad day, you can walk and be like, oh yeah, there she is.
Yep.
There's the woman that I'm familiar with that I know is inside. And it kind of helps you reframe how you look at yourself.
Absolutely. So, how did you get into this job? Like, I read your background from Times. I'm going to go back here to the Daily News and USA Today, and now
Yes.
doing this work. So, tell us how that journey happened for you.
Yeah, so I've had quite the journey. I moved to New York City when I was 19, with two suitcases, $1,800, and a hope and a dream, trying to be on Broadway. And then my agent, I needed a job. I was young and by myself there, so my agent brought me in to work for him, and that's when I started to kind of foray into what was happening behind the camera. Because what I actually went to school for and what I went to college in New York for was acting on camera. So
Gotcha.
my experience had really began on the other side, which is why I think I'm able to evoke emotion and a more realistic sense of moment in my photography because I started as an actor. So I bring a lot of that direction and what I learned from that into the art. And then from there, I got a job working in media because in New York City, you can't have just one job. You've typically got to have three or four in order to survive,
Mhm.
especially living on 108. Um, it's expensive there. So I took on another job in marketing. And that's how I started doing publishing for a company called Media Planet, where we did inserts for USA Today, the New York Daily News. I got to interview Patty Stanger from A Millionaire Matchmaker. She is exactly the same in real life as she is on the show, and many other celebrities just through the work. And then through that, I was recruited to be an associate producer for several fashion shows, again,
Mhm.
just kind of meeting through the industry and through
Mhm.
networking. Um, and once I did that, they offered me the job of Fashion for Rain chairperson in 2009.
Right.
Um, and that's the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. And then at that time, I continued to do that work as we moved. I got married and moved up here with my now ex-husband. Um, and I'm glad I did because I found a new passion. I thought I wanted to go into weddings, so I picked up a camera and went with friends. And somebody one day was like, "Hey, I really want to take sexy pictures for my husband. Can you help me?" And I was like, "Sure,
I'm your woman.
here we go." And
Right.
it just came to click. And I was like,
So it was
"Oh, wow."
organic. It was really organic.
Yeah, I think so much of it stems from how I grew up too. Like I grew up with pictures of Marilyn Monroe all over our homes, the gold dress, the white flowing one. I mean, that type of sensuality has
Mhm.
never been foreign to me. It's
Right.
always been kind of around how I grew up. And, my family went from being very, very wealthy to very, very like on welfare and food stamps back during the time of Hurricane Andrew and after that. So living really those two separate perspectives, I always saw these beautiful fine art nude pieces when I would go to my friends' houses who were more well to do, and I began to associate fine art nude work with luxury, and
Gotcha.
that's part of kind of what developed this as a brand was that
Mhm.
I wanted as many people as possible, specifically women. I rarely work with men unless they're almost acting as a prop for a female. I'm all about empowering girls. I think we have enough men empowerment out there just existing. But for me, it's about the women. It's about women's rights. It's about really just giving as much strength as I can to each client that I meet. Because I live sort of by that motto of the better you feel, the better you do.
Mhm.
And the better you behave and the kinder you are, the more kindness spreads. So the better you feel about yourself, I think, kind of goes into how you interact with the world around you. So it's like a little, they say like a little pebble
You're right.
into
The
the
ripple.
ripple. So
Exactly.
I try to have this experience be like a pebble for my clients and just have it ripple out.
Love it. Love it. Now, so how does your identity as a woman play a role in your industry, in the work that you do? Why is it being a woman so important in this industry?
It's difficult because as a woman, I like to be able to see things from multiple perspectives. I am cis, I am straight. So for me, I sometimes have to step outside of my viewpoint to create a little bit more sexually charged art for my clients that want that. And so that's actually been something that's really pushed me as somebody that's survived domestic abuse and sexual assault. Um, it was really hard for me to find comfort and trust
Mhm.
in new people. So
Mhm.
as I began to do this work, I began to see clients trust me, and that in turn opened me up and opened up my ability to trust and my ability to feel safe around people again.
Mhm.
So this work, it has not just been about healing my clients, but each person I meet is also healing me and my trauma, and is part of this journey that I'm on to kind of heal from the awful things that I went through when I was younger. Um, and everybody, they all just come in with different stories. Not everybody's got a sob story, but every single woman has a story that comes in, and they
Absolutely.
all they all just impact you and like just change just a microcosm of who you are as a person each time you shoot someone, because you're giving so much to them, and in return I find that my clients are giving back to me. I'm open, and I learn and I grow. So each client I interact is changing me and developing who I am as a person. So they always say, like, you never stop growing. When you stop growing is when you're done. That's kind of my hope, is that I never stop the
Never,
evolution of
never.
being better and
Okay, great.
growing and being more empathetic. And
Yep. Wow. And so it's really a give and take between you and the client. It's not that here's some pictures I took of you. It really becomes more like a relationship.
that's exactly what it is. And and I become invested in my clients.
Mhm.
My I'm so lucky to have the boyfriend I do now, because when I do a shoot, I come home and I'm drained. Like, I can
Mhm.
barely stand up after shooting because I pour all of myself into
Right.
the client. And what I get back is the creation and that connection. And then I crash at the end, and then I, recharge to get to do it
Yep.
the next day.
Yep.
But it really is an exchange of energy, whether you believe in science or metaphysics or religion.
Mhm.
We know that energy can't be created nor destroyed. So there's always
A give and take.
an almost a tangible feeling energy in the room when we're shooting. And I
Yep.
think that kind of shifts into who we both are, and
Okay.
and transforms and makes it really a transformative experience, because you do have to be vulnerable, and vulnerability is scary
Mhm.
and traumatizing sometimes, and
Mhm.
and especially a lot of our clients come to us with a trauma background. Sadly, 1 in 4 women, now 1 in 3 women, have been a victim of some sort of assault or sexual violence. And so, especially when you're working in a way that involves more sexuality in the body,
Mhm.
there's a protection
Mhm.
that I find goes up, and I feel like it's a sense of my job to help the client unwrap that protection themselves. It's not my job to rip it away. It's not my
Right.
job to force you into doing something that makes you uncomfortable, but just gently give you a push outside of your comfort zone
Mhm.
with a rope that I'm here to pull you
I'm
back
here
if you
for you,
need.
right. It's
Yeah.
okay to do this. I'm
Yep.
open to it. Let's do this together. I'm gonna get you through it
Exactly. And
and
and let
support.
me know your boundaries. And we talk a lot about boundaries. To
Good.
me, boundaries are the number one thing that defines self-love. And that's really, how do you set your boundaries for
Mhm.
yourself? Do you want to do fine art nude shots? Or do you want to wear a suit? Neither answer is wrong. It's what's your boundary and what makes you feel powerful. And that's why
Mm.
I think we're starting to kind of change the scope and change the name of it from boudoir. And you're going to see, I think, a shift in the entire industry to
Industry.
calling it empowerment photography, because that's what it's about. Sexy pictures. I always tell my clients, this is a self-love experience. I got the trademark to the name. Like, that is what this is. And whoever you give it to and whatever that gift is, that's great. But I always say, you're doing this for you. Your real gift for your partner is when you leave the lights on, maybe a little bit more, because you're feeling a
Mhm.
little better about yourself. Sure, they get the album and they get to look at it, but that's for you. That's for
Right.
you to look at yourself and connect with yourself and see yourself in a way that you may never have seen yourself before, and see your power. And the more you can connect to yourself that way, like I said, the period pictures, whenever I'm having a bad day, this side,
There
I come
there you
out and I look at this one, which was taken of me in Vegas. And it's one of my few that I have no Photoshop on. So I'm really proud of that one. Um, and it makes it really does make a
Sure.
difference.
So who in your life was somebody that mentored you? Who do you look up to? Who helps you when you come home and crash? I know you spoke about your boyfriend, but are there other women out there that support you?
Yeah, I have a really, really strong network of women, actually. I've got my makeup artist. I've got Bethany Slade, who's going to begin doing some SEO for us, from Slated Social. She's actually who's behind me. she started as my muse and has slowly kind of evolved into running and merchandising the shop and just being that pillar of support for me. I also have my best friend Sarah, my best friend Liz, who lives in Florida, my girlfriend's Kristen. Because I'm not from here, a lot of my relationships are long distance,
Mhm.
which you'd think it would be more difficult, but during the pandemic, it actually created a shift in how we communicate. And
Mhm.
so it's allowed me to grow stronger connections with those friends that still live far away because now the technology has caught up to our relationships.
Right. Right.
So yeah, and then I have my
Okay.
aunt Susie, who's not really my aunt, and she's who's kind of guided me financially,
Okay.
from again coming out from welfare and food stamps, and really growing myself to this position where I own a business and finally bought a home. You
Right.
know, it's been
Fabulous home, by
quite a
the way.
journey. Thank you.
Love it's
I
so
love to
gorgeous. It's so
my little
gorgeous.
converted farmhouse.
Yeah, I love it. So what do you want other women to know? You've shared so much. I think you should write a book, but what do you want other women to know about themselves, about what they can accomplish, what's out there for them? What should other women take away from your presentation?
I think if I could tell you to take away one thing, it would be to trust yourself beyond what you think. You may see your own boundary as something that you can't cross, but when you believe in yourself enough and when you see a goal and see a vision, even if it's right on the other side of a wall or a fence, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way, whether it's digging under the fence, whether it's climbing over, whether it's walking 16 miles in the wrong direction to go down the road and crawl and swim through the river. If you want it bad enough, you can do it. If you want to take the step and see yourself in another way, you can do it. If you want to start a business, do it. Put in the work, put in the sweat, the literal blood, sweat, and tears. They don't say that for nothing. I can't tell you how many times I've sliced my fingers opening packages of art, and how many tears I've cried over this. But if you want it, get it. Don't let anything stop you. If there's a
Love it.
wall in your way or a fence, dig your way under or walk further away until you can get it.
Love it. Awesome. Um,
Thank you.
what? Yeah. What? So here's a good one. What is the interview question that no one has ever asked you, but you have an answer for, and you're going to share with us today? Like, do you have one?
Let's go there. Nobody's asked me why I got divorced. And
Oh,
I think that that's a really important question to ask because that commitment to myself is something that was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. I stayed in this relationship where my ex-husband's a great guy. He's an incredible father. He was the wrong partner for me. And the struggle that it took for me to like quiet the voices and quiet what people thought that you're supposed to do it for the kids and do it for this. I finally one day said, you know what? I can respect him. I can respect my child and I can respect myself and still leave and have a positive relationship. Um, and I think that that's a big thing is that I was able to take that step and to believe in myself enough to know that I could start from nothing again and build it back up. Because I have me. When all else fails, I can land on myself. And that's really what I took from that.
that's a fabulous answer. And for all those people out there who are wondering, now they know the answer.
Yes,
Um,
that's why
so, what is unique about you, or something special, or a talent, or something that excites you, something that you don't share often, but that would really tell us more about you?
so people always my boyfriend always makes fun of me. A couple of years ago, I did an interview with Two Buttons Deep with Taylor, and she asked this question too. And I had told her I did martial arts for almost 13 years. Yeah, Taekwondo, Kempo, and Goju. And so I always say like I listen to gangster rap and I kick ass, but then I dress up and I'm a mom. So
Right.
I'm kind of like that dual sided, like fierce
Mhm.
boss, but then also empathetic, kind,
Mhm.
open-hearted person. So there's like that dichotomy of
Mhm.
who I am as a person.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And what is the best advice? Here's a good one. What's the best advice you have ever received from someone?
Put away 30% of everything that you make into a tax and savings fund. Put away 30% into taxes and put away 30% into savings, and then count your profits after that. And after you pay your business, you take that extra, you take what's left, you put 30% into savings, 30% into profit. And that's how you begin to build that egg for yourself to get out of whatever trouble you might be in.
Mm.
If you have $10 and your expenses are $5 and you're left with five, put away 30% of that $5. $2 over the course of time adds up. My savings account, I do like $200 every other week for, and it's not a ton, but over the course of time, that adds up. So really, I would say to not ever say you can't do it, but to take that little bit, just that little bit, and just keep tucking it away to like a little squirrel, like little squirrels we need to be, especially as women. That's the thing my mom always told me. She got into a really, really dangerous financial situation with my dad, and I'm very open about, how bad my relationship with him was, and I don't try to hide it. I try to be open because I know so many women kind of go through the same thing. And my mom always told me my biggest mistake was not squirreling some away for myself. So I would say that the best advice that I could give to women is just put a little bit away, even if it's $1 at a time, even if it's 50 cents at a time. You deserve it.
Fabulous. Great advice there. Now, if you were 21 again, what would you tell your 21-year-old self that you didn't know then, but you know now? What would be that advice?
Don't eat out all the time. And I would also tell myself that now, because I don't. I still do.
You still love eating out?
Oh, I just can't cook. I try.
Favorite restaurant? Where do you like to go?
Oh, this is a tough one. I love Donna's. I love Vic. Vic, who's in Little Pegs. His restaurants are great. He's always got interesting food and good service and good vibes. But I haven't been anywhere since COVID. I've only gone out to eat once in the past year. I really take it seriously. So we're
absolutely
ordering in.
Okay, and then I guess who inspired you when you were young? You talked about seeing the paintings and the pictures of Marilyn and very sensual and very open, but who inspired you?
Oh, that's easy. My theater teachers, Jane Mueller, Stephen Lowe, and Molly Sigourney. They were there for me in a way that nobody else would. When everybody looked at me as this girl who was from this broken family, who had no money, who had nothing, they looked at me and they always said, I see it. I see it in you. And they believed in me. And when no one believed me, Mr. Lowe gave me the lead monologue. And because he believed in me, I won, that best of show in high school out of the whole region. And they believed in me. And so that's who I've looked up to. And that's, I think, part of why so much of the work I do revolves around showing clients and people that you can believe in yourself, because that's what was given to me, was the ability to believe in me. And they're amazing. I think every kid should do theater. I really do. It teaches you to connect with human emotion.
Mm-hmm. My 19-year-old son did get into theater later in high school. He was very heavily involved in sports and then did Beauty and the Beast. So, and it was just this, again, the dichotomy of being a sports dude and then dancing around the stage and it made him who he is now. So and we love Jessica Creasy because she was the theater teacher. So same experience for my kids. So you are right, spot on.
Yeah, because theater, if you think about it, theater and acting is really just the study of human emotion and human interaction. Everything stems from that deep understanding of can you put yourself in someone else's head and feel how someone else feels. So it's really breeding empathy, which I think should be a lesson that every kid, the younger the better, begin to teach empathy.
Classes on it in school on empathy.
Yeah, I have this video of my daughter on my 30th birthday. I'm 34 now, so 4 years ago she was 3, looking in the mirror and going, I'm empathetic and I'm kind. And we're like, what does empathetic mean? She goes, when you can feel how other people feel. Aww. And I'm like, yes. It's such a simple concept that a 3-year-old can understand it, but so many adults struggle with it because it was never. We don't teach empathy.
No,
we
don't.
They just assume that you're supposed to be to come up with it. But I believe that empathy is taught and then intrinsically grows within you. And I think that that's one of the things that theater and acting and the study of psychology as well, like the study of human emotions in one form or another, is essential. And I wish they would do more in schools and more workshops on how to handle emotion and recognize emotions. That's another thing. A lot of people, we're always in a state of worrying about what other people think about us because we're projecting our emotions onto them rather than reading their emotions for what they are. And that, I think, puts a lot of us in. That's how we get in our little spiral holes. Is we begin to assume what other people feel and what other people think, rather than taking the time to empathize and actually try to feel how they feel. Mm-hmm. And that gives you an entirely different perspective and scope on relating to really anybody.
Right. And then sometimes the way they're behaving has nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It's what's going on with them, and yet you think it may have something to do with you, and you're not even on their mind. I mean, so
Exactly. We project our insecurities onto other people so often.
Mhm.
I mean, I am very guilty of it. I do it all the time. As I've gotten older, I've gotten better about being able to say things like to my boyfriend, I'll be like, I'm having a really insecure day. I don't feel good about myself today. Can you love me a little louder? And that's something that we
Mm.
say in this house is like, can you love me louder? It doesn't mean tell me you love me a million times. It means if you see me sitting there, walk by and put your hand on my shoulder, or say something nice when I'm not expecting it. But knowing where you stand in your own personal emotions is the only way that you can advocate for yourself and ask for what you need. For years I would take that and I would project it as if the other person had an issue with me, even though it was just me freaking out because I needed more. I
More
wasn't
than
asking for it. I was just
Mhm.
expecting it and then getting mad that I wasn't getting what I wanted, even though I never asked for it. And it's this spiral which happens in not just romantic relationships, but interpersonal
Yeah.
relationships, business relationships. So really being able to know your own emotions and advocate for them, I think is a huge kind of step in success and growth. And being able to ask for that, like ask somebody if they ask, what does love me louder mean? Define it for yourself. Um, because for me, that little sentence has changed my entire relationship because now I can recognize when it's me, not you.
Right. I,
Really
I
me, not you. And I
I'm
can ask
getting
for it.
goosebumps sitting here listening to you talk about this because you're so spot on and you're so honest and your passion is just exuding out of you. And my goodness, I'd love to squeeze you if I could.
Oh, I need this hug.
But just fabulous, fabulous words of wisdom for anyone, not just women, but for anyone who is struggling or is looking for self confidence or to build self esteem or to reflect on themselves, to really get a grasp on what you want out of life. I think every single word you've said today has been just spot on. So
Thank you.
I so appreciate you being here. I have one last question.
Yes.
What happens to you in the future? What are you looking to do? What are your plans? Because
Oh.
I don't want to stop with what you're doing now. I want to say, hey, what do you got on the horizon?
So I think I'm only going to shoot for another about 5.5 years. My goal is to do photography until I pay off the house. Be very honest, do photography until I pay off the house, and then I think I'd like to go into interior design and fashion. I have a passion for it, equal and maybe even greater than I do for photography, for designing spaces that just make you feel good. And I think that the work that I do can continue. Because I'd like to train someone so self-love experience can be sustained even when I move on.
Mhm.
Um, because I do believe in the work so deeply, but I think that I can also help people to create spaces that make them feel safe, make them feel energized, make them feel creative, and can bring that same sense of like empathy and into the home. How do
Right.
you feel in your home? How do we change your home to help you get where you want to be? When I sit in this room, I feel powerful. I know it's my all black and white room and all gold, and I know that this is the place I go when I need to think, and need to
Okay.
create. So I think I'd really like to
I
do
love it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I love
really
it.
love it.
I've been friends with you on Facebook for a little while now, but you have shown parts of your home and it's just the transformation that you put the house through, which is you said it's a renovated a barn, right? Like
Yeah, it's an old farm. It was 130 something year old farmhouse.
yeah.
We're only the third owners in. The people that were in here right before us, actually, one of them is coming back as a client, which I'm so excited
So
about.
that's gonna be fabulous.
Yeah, I know. I might try to convince her to come to the house instead of the studio because I think it'd be kind of cool to like, because there's certain
Yeah.
spots in the yard and stuff that I think it'd be cool, but we'll see what she says. Um, but yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I
So
get it
is
from
there
my mom. Another
Yeah,
thing I
is
get
there
from my mom.
it's just fabulous to see the pictures as well as to see your home and the love that you are surrounded with on any given day. And I just want to give you the opportunity. Is there anything else that you want to share with us that you think we didn't talk about today?
Speaking out, I think, is a big thing. I touched a little bit on the number of women that face abuse and assault. And one second here.
Yep.
one of the things that I'm noticing with the pandemic is a very large rise in domestic violence. Um, and part of my mission, because of what I went through when I was younger, sorry, I'm getting emotional, is to give women the power to kind of get out of that. And I just hope that if anything, that that there are resources, you can speak out, you can call the RAIN hotline, you can call the YWCA. There's places that you can call. Please don't stay. Please, you deserve more. And that's what I want to
Wonderful.
say.
And I'm holding your hand right here. I have my hand up to the camera. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this has been one of the highlights of, I'd say, my year so far, is to having the opportunity to speak with you and to see your vulnerability, your honesty, your passion, and just you as Lindsay Rae. And so hey, you might get a call from me someday saying, hey, sign me up, but you're
Let's
selling
do
out. You're
it.
selling out.
Yes.
You're selling out into 2022. So
Yes.
I'm so proud of you. You
It's
should
so
be proud
fun.
of what you've accomplished.
Thank
Um,
you.
and anything else you want to say as we close?
No, I think this is great. Just call me, come in. Let's do some self-love work together.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Have a wonderful day. And
You
we're going to say
too.
goodbye to our YW folks watching us and with some jazz hands. And bye,
Well, flossy
everybody.
fingers. Bye.